Um, Good evening, fellow Kenyans. I think we now more than ever need to remember why we have been fighting this course. And part of what we need to do is to draw lessons from communities that have been activating for a long time. We can learn these lessons from the feminist groups and from the queer movements because we have been demonstrating for 4 weeks now. These 4 weeks have shown us so many things, and sometimes we feel like we are getting fatigued. But there are groups that have been fighting for their rights for their whole lives. That's one thing we need us to, I would love to bring to our attention. See how those people have been organizing and try and borrow any meaningful techniques that we can take from those movements. But then I need to remind you that we're dealing with a regime that is akin to a rabid dog. And I say this because after everything that we have agitated for, after all the brothers and sisters we have lost, nothing has changed in this government. If anything, it has just become bolder. How we use these social spaces is going to determine how they respond to us. This is a time when all of us are supposed to unite our voices because there are very key lessons that we've learned. And one of them is if we have a platform, we ought to share it for the benefit of the movement. Because part of where the political class is getting their confidence is from our carelessness. So if you slip and crack a joke about and crack a joke that is in support of the regime, they're going to take us as a joke. And you've seen it. They've taken one. They've taken all the talking points we had. The political class is very notorious for doing this. They've taken all our talking points. They've now made them look as if they are their own. They have taken all the, for example, they're looking to deny us credible reasons for us to continue with these protests. But we have only begun. We are only 4 weeks in. I know it feels like a couple of years, but we are only 4 weeks in. If you have to take a break for you to delineate, do it, but do not give up. Elder is expecting me. Do not give up on this fight. We've said we're occupying JKIA on Tuesday. Do your part. Jikaze, talk to people, mobilize in communities, talk to people who are going to give you all the strength you need. Because if you're looking for reasons not to occupy, you will find them. But we are saying we must occupy. Whatever it is that we're doing, all the people we lost, their blood was not shed in vain. In whatever it is you do, remember, guns have been drawn. If anyone has listened to this president's speech, you've heard that that was a very, very blatant threat where he said that enough is enough. Remember, when he was killing us, that time he had not said enough was enough. That is the time that he was listening. And you've seen amekuja, and he was even mocking us. He said, nikawaita nikuja huko X wakatoroka. Sijui akafanya nini. He's very, very bold right now. And it's going to be very, very difficult. And this is the time. If there was ever was a time for you to believe in that fearless narrative that we have been saying, this is the time for you to prove to yourself that you are fearless. Ask yourself that if you are willing to do this for your country, this is when the fearlessness starts. This is when the leaderlessness starts. This is where the tribelessness starts. If we keep on involving ourselves in small fights, thinking that sijui kuna big wigs and small wigs, and some of them want to suck us into those things. It's the same things you're seeing. We're fighting one personality, another personality is fighting another personality. This is not the time for us to allow any person to use us to settle their scores. They are worse than the politicians because they're pretending that they're for us. Anybody who shows you that they are not willing, anyone who's trying to sell you fear, that is your enemy. Anyone who asks you the question, what next? That is your enemy. Anybody who asks you such a question is a person who does not want to imagine what a future without corruption, a future without extrajudicial killings, a future where government is accountable. That anyone who asks you that question is a person who wants to wear you down. These discussions, they are setting them up. These little fights you see us having on the timeline, sijui huyu ako hivi, huyu ako hivi, those fights are to distract us. And you've seen the government bloggers, they are talking in one language. The political class is talking in one language. Sisi tu ndio tumebaki huku, unajiuliza, mimi huyu ni big wig, huyu ni small wig. They are dividing us along all possible lines. We cannot accept to be divided because horrible things are going to happen. I'm talking about this as a marked person. I'm talking about this as a person who probably might not have enough time. And that's why I will keep on injecting in every space I get into. We do not have time. If anything happens, you have to move on. Do not let the people who died. We lost a 12-year-old kid. I don't know if that makes you angry. A boy was shot in the leg last week because the government does not listen. A journalist, the media, which has been trying to amplify our cases, but people thought that they could run behind the police. They've shown them that they do not care. At this point, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to make the necessary changes for this country so that our children can live in a better country? Right now, they are speaking one language as a political class. And if there ever was violence, because they want to accuse us of violence. We have always been peaceful. That's why I don't understand why anyone would advise us to be peaceful, because we have always, anybody who has ever been to a maandamano has always been peaceful. If you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name first. That is what they're doing to us right now. They want to give us a bad name. You've seen them label us. You've seen them put what kinds of things and push a narrative saying that we don't know. And you've even seen the circulars in the police. I want you guys to just read the president's body language when he was before then and today. Read the nitty-gritties written in those police circulars saying you have to submit your name and your location and suggest it in good time. What when the
We are losing you. Mnamsikia?
movement or
Namlose pia.
difficult.
Kasmuel, we are losing you. I think it's a network.
You are not.
Kasmuel, I think we are losing you because of your network. So and kindly unmute your
Can you
mic
hear me
and
now?
speak to us.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Go
I will
ahead.
assume that.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
All right. I was saying this is the time for the movement to truly take its shape. The leaderlessness, the tribelessness, the fearlessness, because they.
We have lost you again.
Umekujiwa my guy. Niko umekujiwa na gava wewe. Naona ana reconnect. Au umerudi. Ebu speak Kasmuel, ebu